Welcome to the Fire Time Podcast, where it's never hot enough, slow is fast, and the way to win is to make it so stupidly easy to buy from you that there's no excuse not to. I'm your host, Tim Reed. And once again, I'm so excited to be here today. Welcome to the Fire Time Podcast. And hey, this episode is one that I'm really excited about as we continue to move through season 16 of the podcast. And this is a course that I actually just taught a couple of weeks ago in Denver, Colorado, when I was out there for AES Dealer Days. Now, for the last few weeks on the podcast, we've been talking about marketing. You know, we started by having a conversation with Robert Schnell. That was back when I was in Nashville after going to a Donald Miller marketing conference. Last week's conversation was with April Sunshine Hawkins, where we talked about all kinds of aspects of messaging. We got into the PEACE framework of how we create a message that resonates by using those 5 sound bites. And today, I wanted to share this course that I taught in Denver about how to create marketing messages that actually get results as kind of a capstone on that conversation. Now, this event was really cool. AES has these Dealer Days events every year at some of their various locations. And when I was in Denver, I actually taught 6 different classes in these little about 30, 35-minute snippets about different aspects of sales, marketing. We did one on AI, and it was all captured on video, and some of it is going to be released through this podcast, and that's why I'm really excited to share this with you today. But this was a conversation that I think was really important to have as a group, because a lot of dealers are in a position where they pay for marketing, they don't really know what's working or what's not working, and they're not really involved in creating the content itself, right? They hire the expert to do that. Now, as we get into in the conversation, I am not against hiring experts to work with, and I'm not against outside companies helping with marketing. But as we've discussed these last few weeks, there are some fundamental problems that most companies make the mistake of in their messaging. And if we can get these concepts right, it will set everything up to get results for us. And so, the last couple of weeks of the podcast has been us talking through some of these things at kind of a little bit slower pace. This episode today is me with like 30 to 35 minutes teaching through everything we've talked about and giving some real life examples of where we see this working and not working in our industry and in other industries specifically. So I think that there's a lot here. My hope is that you can put some of these things into practice, that maybe it makes you think differently about how you put together your messaging so that you can feel confident crafting an ad or a messaging campaign that speaks to your customer and shows them how the services you offer can make their lives better. So with all that said, I'm excited for you to see this episode and hear this episode. We set this up right in the warehouse. We put up a projector, had a really simple setup with a table and chairs around it. And this was an intimate group, maybe 30 to 40 people. And we were really able to go deep on some of these principles for our business. So that's what you're going to hear. You're going to be invited right into that warehouse to be a part of the class today. Now, as always, we'll circle back at the end and I'll share a few parting thoughts. But for now, I hope you enjoy this conversation on how to create marketing messages that actually get results. How to create marketing messages that actually work. I know that this is a bold title, but I think that there's something here that can really help us. There's a quote that's attributed to Henry Ford. I don't believe he actually said it, but it's attributed to him. And it basically goes like this: 50% of my marketing is a complete waste of money. I just don't know which 50%. That's attributed to him. And I think that oftentimes we approach marketing this way. We think it's like roulette. Okay, I'm gonna throw it on black and hopefully it lands. And if it lands, it'll be great. And we think that it's just the roulette wheel. It's chance, it's magic, it's a black box, and that's it. So we hire outside experts that really know marketing to help us. And I'm not saying that we should never work with outside people. That can be a huge gift to your company. But I do believe that there are some fundamental principles of effective marketing and messaging that you can apply right now without hiring anybody. And if you do find someone to work with, this will be a barometer of, are they actually able to help you? Now, full disclosure in this, I've never taught this class before. Okay. This is brand new. I'm really pumped about it because these are things that I've been using in my own business for years. I work with clients when I do consulting and stuff like that to help them in their businesses. But putting it together in this format, today's the first time it's happened. So I'm really pumped about that. Like I said in the previous course, I want this to be contextual for you. So I'm going to give a lot of things that I think are true. I'm not saying you have to agree with them, but if you have any questions or any pushback, by all means, just throw up your hand so that we can make sure to contextualize this for your business. That sound okay? All right. Awesome. So in our world today, there is a lot of marketing that is not effective. And in fact, I would say that most marketing messages do not land. In particular, in our industry, most marketing messages don't land. And there's a number of reasons for this, but regardless of what we're deploying, what we're using to deploy our message, whether it's a Google ad, a Facebook ad, yellow pages, even just text on our website, most of that messaging fails to land with customers. And it actually doesn't matter if they see it because most of the time it's getting completely ignored. And there's a few reasons why that I think are really important for us to understand. First off, most marketing messages fail because they make the business the hero of the story. They make their business the hero of the story. If we do that in our marketing, at best, it will be ignored, and at worst, it will be disdained, right? If we make our business the hero of the story. Next up, most messages fail because they're cramming too many things in. They're trying to make the ad about too much. When we think about creating a marketing message, and again, this is generic in the sense that like a marketing message can be applied on a website header. It could be applied in an ad in a magazine. It could be in a Google, advertisement, anything like that. If a marketing message is about too many things, people get overwhelmed and they ignore it. So a lot of the time, as an example, your business, might sell multiple products. You might sell fireplaces and patio furniture and hot tubs and barbecues. And ironically, if you put all of that in an ad, it will be completely ignored because a customer is not looking for a fireplace and a hot tub and a sauna and an outdoor heater. They're not looking for those at the same time. They have a specific problem that we want to message to. And as soon as we start talking about too many things, people get overwhelmed and they check out. This is really hard because we want to make the most of our spend, whatever it is we're advertising with. You'll work with experts that are like, well, you got to tell them about this. Oh, and tell them about this. Oh, and tell them about this. But it doesn't work. I'm going to reference a guy a couple times in this class named Donald Miller. He's an author. He's based out of Nashville, and he's a great marketing mind. And he gives this analogy of saying every time we give a consumer a new piece of information, it's like we're handing them a bowling ball. How many bowling balls can someone hold? Oh, we sell fireplaces. Here's a bowling ball. Oh yeah, and we have hot tubs. Here's a bowling ball. Oh yeah, and we have outdoor heaters. Here's a bowling ball. At some point, the customer drops it. They are not in a space to be able to handle all of this. So we want our marketing to be very targeted. A marketing message for everyone is a message for no one. Okay, it's a really important concept. A message for everyone is a message for no one. And sometimes we try to cram all these extra things in. Well, maybe they would want this, and maybe they would want this, and maybe they would want this. And when we do that, our ads become too vanilla and they don't work. Another reason that most messaging fails, especially in our industry, is because the business focuses on their products, not the customer's problem. When a marketing message is focused on products, not the customer's problem, people ignore it. They ignore it because what's the reason, someone buys a wood stove? Because they're cold, or because they want to be safe in a power outage, or they want to save money on their heating bill. There's a lot of reasons for it, but it's a problem that motivates the purchase. Someone doesn't just wake up out of the blue and think, boy, I'd love to go buy this model of wood stove in particular because I just think it's a great thing. That's not why they buy. They don't think product first. They think problem first. I'm cold. I want to save money. All the things that we talked about. So these are very, very common mistakes. And, we have limited time today, but I just want to set this up that most of the marketing, especially in our industry, fails to land because of one of these reasons. Either the company is making themselves the hero of the story, or they're trying to cram too many things into their messaging piece, or they're focusing on their products, not the customer's problem. So I want to give some examples of this. I know that it's a little bit small up here, but I think that this is very important. These are real life examples. This is a plumber that is close to my house. I've never encountered this company before besides just Googling plumbers close to me. Now, I want to ask this question. Looking at this, who is the hero of the story? The business or the customer? Why would you say the business? It's talking about them, right? And this is probably a good company. I don't know. The website looks nice. You can tell that they've paid a bunch of money for fancy branding. As a side note, there's a massive trend right now in our industry for companies to rebrand. And I see so much wasted money of outfit the truck, build the new, a website design, get new shirts for your team, have a new logo, change the name of your company. I'm not against rebranding necessarily, but the problem is you can have an amazing looking truck that does not connect with customers. And it doesn't matter how nice the truck looks or how nice your website looks if you break one of those rules that we talked about earlier. So let's look at this. Again, this business is set up. Now, again, I'm sure this was a great company. They're called Apollo Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning. Okay. Now, there's a couple things going on here. This is very cute. They're called Apollo. Well, okay. I guess that's a reference to why are they on the moon? Oh, why are they astronauts? Oh, yeah, because back in the 1960s, we had the Apollo space program, and that went to the moon. And so that's a great little connection. We're called Apollo, so let's make the theme astronauts, and let's have us going to the moon. Does any of this have to do with the problem of the customer that's calling a plumbing company? Absolutely flipping nothing. Yet it's easy to be sold the idea by a marketing company. Oh yeah, okay, we're gonna tell your story, Apollo. Let's get the moon involved in this. Let's have a logo of a couple of astronauts. My point is that with this website, the business is the hero. Look at the tagline. We're the guys you call when you want mission accomplished, to mean everything's perfect. I have no idea what that means. I've never thought in my life to call a plumbing company and go, I need my mission accomplished. In marketing, it's really important that we are clear, not clever. This is clever. It's cute. And it means absolutely nothing. Again, I'm not saying this is a bad company. I'm not saying that they don't do good work. But when we look at this, they have positioned themselves as the hero of the story. Bold new look, same great guys. That does not speak to the customer's problem. Okay, I could go off on this for a long time. But if we break the rules, when we go to our website, ask yourself, am I positioning my business as the hero? Or am I positioning the customer as the hero? And am I speaking about the problems that they're facing? When you can articulate your customer's problem better than them, this is a Donald Miller quote, they will believe that you have the solution for it. When you can articulate your customer's problem better than they can, they will believe that you have the solution for it. When you can't articulate the customer's problem, they will ignore you because they're looking for someone who understands their situation. This makes sense? Okay, let's look at another industry. This is going to be very familiar. I have blocked out the names of the innocent here, okay? So this is a very, very, very expensive website. Looks nice enough. That's totally fine. Based on what you see here, what problem are you solving for me? I know the text is a little bit small. I mean, cost. Oh yeah. Upgrade to save $650. I'm not against running a sale at all. I'm not against having promotions. In fact, I think promotions are a great idea for bringing people into your business. But I would argue when a customer goes to this website, there is nothing that makes them go, oh, they understand my problem. I better click here. The only thing that they're trying to solve is a pricing problem. And I would argue that comes way later in the conversation for the customer. Okay. Now, I'm not saying these are bad companies. I'm not saying that. But what I am saying is that these break the rule of making themselves the hero, of not addressing the problems that the customer has, and about talking about too many things. So again, we're moving a little bit quickly because we don't have a ton of time, but I think it's important to lay a foundation and show some examples of where companies are misguided. Because in each of these situations, I can guarantee you that these companies have spent tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars crafting these nice looking websites that are not effective for them. Because it doesn't matter how it looks if the customer doesn't resonate with it. This is really, really important. Now, if we want to create effective marketing, there are 3 fundamental principles that we want to employ. First, we want to make the customer the hero of the story, and our business needs to be positioned as the trusted advisor. We are not the hero of the story. We are the trusted advisor. Oftentimes, we lead with messaging. Like you might go to a website or see a business card, and the first thing you see is family owned for 50 years. Now, I'm not against that at all as secondary messaging or very, very tiny. But a customer doesn't wake up in the morning and think, boy, I need to get a fireplace. And I hope, I got to look for a company that was founded in 1983. I got to find, I'm looking for a second generation family owned business. That's what I got to, no. Now, it's not a bad thing that you're second generation family owned. It's not a bad thing that you've been around since 1983. That is not primary messaging. This is deep secondary messaging because that doesn't speak to the problem the customer has. Their problem is not, I need to find a business that is from 1979. Their problem is, I'm cold and I need a fireplace. Can you help me? So we want to position our marketing in a way where the customer is the hero, not us. I want to go through some examples of this, but this is fundamentally important. Again, if you're a fireplace manufacturer and your slogan is making the best gas fireplaces for 40 years, who's the hero of that story? You or the customer? You, yeah. What if it's helping people stay warm and safe? Who's the hero of that story? The customer. Helping people stay warm and safe, right? If we can shift the focus to the customer and their problems and take the spotlight off of us, it really does something to make our marketing resonate. So we don't want to be the hero of the story. We want to be positioned as the trusted advisor. When it comes to creating effective marketing, we need to be clear above all else, not cute and not clever. And this is really hard. It's really hard. Almost every marketing company that you hire is trying to be cute and they're trying to be clever. Go back to Apollo, right? Oh, that's great. Like your company name is Apollo. Well, let's make you a couple of astronauts because like that connects with like the moon mission. And because it's the moon mission, we can say, hey, we'll be your mission accomplished. Sweet. Like if we're writing a school play about a person who has an adventure, awesome. But if we're trying to help a customer with a leaky toilet get it fixed, that story has absolutely nothing to do with their situation. Does this make sense? We want to make sure that it all of our messaging and all of our marketing, we are speaking directly to the problem the customer has, and we are being so crystal clear. Some of the most effective marketing we could ever have would simply be to maybe on the header of your website say, have a cold home, we'll make it warm. Call to action button that says, book appointment. Like, oftentimes, the simpler the message, the more clear the message, the easier it is for people to follow. And especially in our world of being bombarded by so many advertisements and so much noise, people are looking for clarity. And we want our advertising to be a laser beam that cuts through, not a flashlight that dissipates. This makes sense? Okay. Our third principle is we want to speak to the problems your customer has and how we can make their life better. So again, that example I just said, do you have a cold home? We'll help make it warm. Okay. We've spoken to the problem, cold home. We've talked about how their life can be better. We can make it warm. Now, this is painfully simple, but people will respond to this. They'll respond so much better to an advertisement on Google or on Facebook that has that simple tagline, or a website that has that for the header, compared to, for over 35 years, we've been helping customers in the greater Milwaukee area take pride in their homes by having a fireplace that keeps them warm, makes their family happy, and is the highest quality ever. When our company was started by, Grandpa Joe, he had nothing in his pocket but a nickel and a dream, and he turned that into a company that's been serving customers for 45 years. I mean, again, like, that message is lost completely on customers versus the simple clarity of, hey, do you have a cold home? We'll help make it warm. Click here to schedule your appointment. Click here to see our products, that sort of thing. So these are the fundamental principles of marketing that we really want to employ. And anytime you're creating a message, we want to ask those questions. Am I positioning the customer as the hero? Am I being clear above all else? Not cute, not clever. Am I being clear? And are we speaking to the problems the customer has? So I want to give you a couple examples that I think are really, really good. This is a company out of Wichita, Kansas. Okay. What's the tagline? Keep your home safe and your family warm. Who's the hero of that story? The customer. Yeah. Keep your home safe and your family warm. I mean, if I'm cold, I'm locking into that. It's speaking to security. If you notice that, keep your home safe. They're tying into the safety and security aspect, which is really, really important. Hey, this is Tim with the Fire Time Podcast, and I hope you're enjoying this episode. Well, if you're like most fireplace companies right now, there is a struggle when it comes to marketing. And the reality is most companies in our industry have a website that confuses customers out of buying rather than guiding them towards the product that will work for their home and facilitating a way for them to make that purchase. Well, if that's the position that you're in, you have to check out getting your website made by our team at Wi-Fire. Especially in the AI world, it's more important than ever that websites are fast, that they're relevant, and that they have tools to solve customers' problems by showing them exactly what products will work. And that's exactly what these websites do. Our Wi-Fire websites, no joke, have an AI fireplace visualizer where you can literally snap a picture of a wall and any of your fireplaces can be rendered on that wall so your customers can see what they'll really look like. In addition to that, we have an AI chat function that will show your customers a good, better, best offering based on their specific situation and connect them with your team in the showroom or in the home to close the deal. A lot of companies struggle because they don't have the right sales tools, but you don't have to. To get a website that serves customers 24 hours a day, make sure to check out wifire.com. Look at this phrase. Fireplace installations and chimney services for homeowners in South Central Kansas. Is that clear? Crystal clear. What do they offer? Fireplace installations and chimney service for homeowners in South Central Kansas. So you can enjoy a warmer home lowering heat bills, and peace of mind that comes from knowing your chimney is up to code. Very clear, very simple messaging, and the customer's the hero. What can I do? Get instant estimate, book chimney service. Super easy. If I got a problem, my house is cold, my chimney is smelly or drafty, I can go here. I know what they do. I know how it solves my problem, and I can take action to solve it. Now, this same tactic can be applied in an advertisement in a magazine. It can be applied in a Google ad. It can be applied in an email campaign. It's the theory behind the messaging, though, that will draw people in. It's words and pictures that draw people in. Notice the picture of this. What is it? Family sitting in front of the fireplace. A lot of companies make the mistake in our industry of on their homepage, they have a picture of everybody in the business lined up out in front of the truck going like this. I don't know if you've seen this trend. It boggles my mind though. But it's people don't want to see a picture of your building and of how big your crew is. They want to see what their life could be like after working with you, So on your website, just again, as you're thinking about this, replacing whatever hero image you have with a picture of a happy family enjoying one of your products is absolutely critical. If you look at the difference between this happy family and these words with this webpage right here, you see the stark difference. This is so cold. There's no pictures. I don't live in that house. I don't know anybody who lives in that house. There's no words that are drawing me in. Do you guys see the difference between that versus this right here? Okay, show you another example. I love this. What company is this? CarMax. Okay. What problem are they solving for me? What's the problem that they're solving in 2 seconds of looking at this website? Yeah. Want to drive? Yes, that's why I'm that's my problem. I want to drive. We make it easy to buy and sell your car. Now, they could have made this about, for 45 years, the used car industry has been so difficult for people to navigate because there's always the pressure of a salesperson that might be giving a different price than another salesperson. Plus, when you buy the car, you're never sure if the warranty is good or you're not sure if you're getting a lemon. And so the founder of CarMax 45 years ago decided that, they would start a company that had the customer's values in mind first. They're not telling that story. They're not telling that story. They're addressing the problem that the customer has and their solution to it. Now, the fact that they have done those things, that they are going after the used car industry, and the fact that somebody did start the company with a vision, that might have a time and place in a different messaging campaign, but they have made the decision to make this about one thing. This makes sense? They could have had the angle of going after the used car industry. That would be fine as well. You could explain that in a clear, simple way. Not sure if you're paying too much for a used car? CarMax has guaranteed transparent pricing, right? That would be a way to tell that story. But instead, they're going after this problem right here. This is about one thing. And they've chosen, that's where they've made their bet. Who's the hero of this story? Do we see a picture of CarMax and a salesperson in a shirt smiling, ready to help somebody? No. Who's the hero of this story? Happy family. Where is the car in the ad? It's the afterthought. It's way in the background. Why is that? Exactly. The car is not the important thing. What the car does for you is the important thing. Hey, you're going to have a family parking by the beach or whatever, and you're going to get to enjoy your day. That's what they're selling. They are confident enough in what they offer. They do not have to be the hero of the story. Once we understand this concept, you can't unsee it. And I'm going to keep my voice really low, but as you look at manufacturers' literature in our industry, you're never going to be able to unsee this. You're going to look at things and go, oh, they're making themselves the hero. Oh, they're making themselves the hero. That's why it doesn't resonate. That's why people don't pay attention to it. And this is why, in my view, it's really important that you take marketing into your own hands. It's not that you can't work with an expert to help you. That's great. But we want to play by these rules. And you need to make sure that you understand, okay, is this messaging that we're creating, or is this website that we're making, is it positioning us as the hero, Or is it positioning the customer as the hero? If the customer's the hero and we can speak to a very specific problem that they have, amazing. Like, I'm not against working with outside people at all, but there are some fundamental rules that we want to follow. When we look at the difference between these examples and this, again, like a couple of astronauts, bold new look, same great guys, versus, want to drive? We make it easy to buy and sell your car. There's one that draws us in, and we want to position all of our messaging in this same way. Now, to do this, there's a framework that's been very, very helpful for me. I mentioned a guy, Donald Miller, a little bit ago. He wrote a book back in 2017 called Building a Story Brand. I think it's probably the best marketing book I've ever read. And this framework that I'm going to show you is his concept. And I think it's very, very helpful. If we want to create effective messaging, there's a simple framework we follow that spells the word peace. Problem, empathy, answer, change, end result. Each one of these is a sound bite. We want to create a problem sound bite. One sentence. We want to create an empathy sound bite. One sentence. We want to create an answer sound bite, a change sound bite, an end result sound bite. Now, for me personally, like in our company, I mentioned earlier, we have a software company that makes tools to help fireplace businesses sell more products. We use this overall for our entire company. Like, what's our overall company peace framework? But then for every one of our products, what's the peace framework for that particular product? You could have a peace framework for new construction. You could have a peace framework for contractors, for designers. For me, this has been a very helpful grid in creating effective messaging. And I want to walk through an example of what this is. I'm already running late on time, but sorry, not sorry. So let's talk first about problem. If we want to create a problem soundbite, we want to answer this question. What is the problem your customer has? So think about your business. Like, what would be the problem that people have that walk into your showroom or that invite you out to their home? What was that? Yeah, maybe they're in new construction and they got to pick a fireplace. And it's just as simple as that. My contractor said, I got to pick one. Cool. That's fine. We'll take that problem. We can speak to that problem. Having a hard time finding the right fireplace. There's your problem soundbite. If they have a leaky chimney, are you sick of having a chimney that leaks? Does your chimney smell bad? Right. These are problems that the customer has, and we want to create a soundbite for it. So as an example, this is just one here. Tired of dealing with a cold house in the winter? That speaks to a problem that the customer has. Now, these sound bites, again, these can be, you could put this on a business card. You could put it on your website. You could put it in a Google ad. Like the application, you could put in a follow-up email campaign. But the sound bite, when you repeat it over and over and over and over, it draws people in and they start to repeat it as well. When your team on the showroom floor, when somebody walks in and they're talking about their situation and the team member says, man, are you guys just tired of dealing with a cold house in the winter? When you start saying that over and over and over again, it starts to shape the conversations that you have with people. Now, let's go to empathy. This is really important. We want to be able to articulate the customer's problem very, very well. Tired of having a cold house? Are you paying too much for heating bills in the winter? Does your family not know what to do in a power outage? Those are all problems. Empathy is critically important. We resonate with companies who show us empathy. We resonate with people who show us empathy. Why is it that we are so indifferent to Amazon as a company? Now, I mentioned Amazon in the previous class, that like many of us are customers of Amazon, but if a similar service to Amazon came out tomorrow, would any of us feel loyalty to them before changing? No. We use them because we have to, or we think we have to, but there is no loyalty. And the reason is that Amazon shows no empathy towards us. They don't understand us. They don't care about us. They don't know us. Now, maybe they do, but they're not communicating that to us. We want to show empathy to our customers. So we want to answer the question. Is there one sense where you could show empathy to your customer? This is hard work to actually think about this, but I think it's very powerful. This is just, hey, I think every family should have a home that's warm and safe. That's an empathetic statement. If we go back to our first one, tired of dealing with a cold house in the winter? That's the problem. We think every family should have a home that's warm and safe. I mean, that could be a header for a website. Put that on the header for your website. Every family should have a home that's warm and safe. Have a picture of a happy family behind it with a fireplace, big call to action button saying book now, schedule now. You could put that in an advertisement. Any one of these sound bites can be used by itself, or it can be used with other things. Okay. That's an example of an empathetic statement. Another way to do this would be to say, we know how it feels to fill in the blank. We know how it feels to go through a Colorado winter without a good heat source. Dude, you say that to a customer who's struggling, they'll be eaten out of the palm of your hand, right? If you have a customer that's struggling because they're freezing cold and they need help, and you say, hey, I know what it's like. I grew up in, Breckenridge, and for the first 5 years of my life, we didn't have a wood stove, but then we got one and everything changed. Like, I know how it feels to. Those are powerful, powerful statements that you should use in your marketing. After empathy is answer. So we've articulated the problem. We've made a statement of empathy. Now, what is the answer to the problem? If the problem in this example was tired of having, a cold home in the winter, well, what is the answer to your customer's problem? Do not overthink this. Get a fireplace for your home. Schedule a service call. Get a chimney cleaning. That's the answer. Tired of having a cold home in the winter? We think that every family should be warm and safe during the coldest months of the year. So get a fireplace for your home. You don't have to overthink this. It is often the simplest answers that are the most effective. As we start talking more and more and more and more, we just end up confusing the customer. Okay. So we've talked about problem. We've talked about empathy. We've talked about answer. Next is change. What is the change your customer can experience after experiencing your solution? Okay. Yeah. Stay warm. I'm hearing that. There's a lot of ways you could take this, but what is the transformation that the customer has personally? Now, if you're working with contractors, this could be about the schedule. It could be about never get behind on your schedule again. If you can guarantee that your fireplace is going to come on schedule. With the example that we had before, never worry about a power outage again. There's the change. If we go back to that framework, right? We talked about the problem, tired of living in a cold house in the winter. Empathetic statement. Every family should be able to stay warm and safe in their home. Answer. Get a fireplace installed today. Change. Never worry about a power outage again. Do you guys see how any one of these could be a tagline? Any one of these could be a tagline. You could have supporting paragraphs underneath it. I'm not against having a lot of text in an ad or on a website. There's a rule that Ray Edwards, he's a famous copywriter that he employs that I believe in. He says it can never be too long. It can only be too boring. It can never be too long. It can only be too boring. So you could anchor with one of these statements, and then underneath it, you could have a compelling paragraph that goes into some more details. But these 5 sound bites, these will get people to turn their head. In a world of noise, if you can speak to the problem that they have, this is what will get people to turn their head. And finally, we articulate the end result. So C is personal change. E is the end result. How is your customer's life better after working with you? As an example, stay warm and save money, even in the coldest months. So if you put the whole thing together, this kind of tells a story. Tired of dealing with a cold house in the winter? At XYZ Fireplace Store, we think every family should have a home that's warm and safe. So get a fireplace for your home. Never worry about a power outage again. Stay warm and save money, even in the coldest months. Now, on your website, you could literally have each of these highlighting a different section, where you could have an empathy section of your webpage. You're not going to call it the empathy section, but the header could be the empathy statement, followed by some pictures or some proof points of how you understand your customers. You could have this, again, in a magazine ad, you could have it in a Google ad, but these statements will make people turn their head. They will make people turn their head. In every one of these, the business is not the hero. Tired of dealing with a cold house in the winter? That's about the customer and their problem. It's not about the business. Every family should have a home that's warm and safe. That's about the customer. So get a fireplace for your home. All of this is set up to make the customer the hero. This is how we create effective messaging. If you hire a marketing company and they say, we're going to help you tell your story, run. Because you do not want to tell your story. You want to show the customer how you understand their problem and how you can solve it. Those are two totally different things, right? I could tell you guys all about the story of my company and how we've built it. And oh boy, this was really hard when we had to deal with this. And sure, maybe there'd be a time and place for that later on. But like, if you're just looking to get a website that helps you make sales, my personal story of the last 10 years has nothing to do with you getting a website to help you make sales. Does that make sense? We think sometimes because of what we've gone through, because it means a lot to us, it means something to our customer. And it honestly doesn't. It's not that our story doesn't matter at all. There's a time and place to insert little bits of it, but we only insert bits of our story where it helps the customer solve their problem. So if you're talking to a customer on the sales floor and they say, man, we were looking at doing a fireplace last year, but we started working with a contractor and they got halfway through the job and then they just flaked out and we just gave up for a year and a half because we didn't know what to do. That might be a time to say, well, you know what? When my dad started this company 30 years ago, he had something really similar happen to him. And that's why he made it a goal for us to never leave anybody high and dry. Well, we've just inserted a part of our story there, but we've only done it because it helps solve the problem of our customer. They were left in the lurch by somebody. So we're going to say, well, for 30 years, that's why we made sure people aren't in the lurch. And we've got Google reviews and Better Business Bureau ratings to prove that. We only talk about our story when it helps the customer solve their problem or to empathize with their situation. Outside of that, we just want to keep it to ourselves. This is how we create effective marketing. Now, in summary, if we can make the customer the hero, speak to their problems, and offer a clear solution, your messaging will get incredible results. Just simply like going through a piece framework for your overall company, putting those words on your website. Again, like go back to the company in our industry that I gave the example of their website. If they simply had a tagline that said, tired of dealing with a cold home? Our fireplaces will help it stay warm. And a big button, get project quote. Like I promise you that the amount of leads that they get would triple. It would triple because people going to the site would feel that they were understood and they would know exactly what to do. And the cool thing is you guys can apply that right now without spending a penny on anything. You could make this change on your website and your leads would significantly increase. And I say that as someone who sells websites. Like I'd love to sell you a website, but if you don't want to buy one, make these changes to yours and you will start to get more leads. Over the last, 8 years or so, our company's generated over 70,000 leads for fireplace businesses. And these are the principles that we use is simple, clear messaging. And again, with a lot of this stuff, like I didn't invent it, it's a framework that's been really, really helpful for us. And I hope it can be helpful for you as well. In the age of AI and in the age of, e-commerce and big box moving in, we need to make sure that we have effective messaging. And as we close out, I would just say this, that like in our country right now, there's a lot of marketing that is used to manipulate and that is used to keep people afraid and angry. Okay? I'm not making a political statement because it's on the left and the right. It's what's happening. It's trying to keep people angry and afraid so they don't think. We can employ this to actually serve our customers. I mean, if someone can speak to the problem that we have, show us empathy, give us an answer that genuinely makes our lives better, show us the change that can happen when we follow that path and the end result of what our life looks like, I think that we can actually be a force for good. And that's the point of all of this, is that your businesses offer something really special to your customers. My friend Daniel Hammer, one of the core values of his fireplace business in Seattle, one of their core values as a company is to prove that small business can be a force for good. This is how we start to do that. It's not by talking more about how great we are and about how we've been around for 45 years, and all that is fine way later in the conversation. But instead, we understand our customer's problem, show them empathy, and offer a path for their life to be better. If we can do that, we'll find that there's way more sales to be had. There's way more leads to come in through our website, and there's a lot more prosperity to go around by meeting people where they are and speaking at their level. So hope that's helpful for you. I know that was a lot. If you want to scan this QR code, we are recording this class. I can send you the recording of it. I can send you the slide deck. And a little bit later today, we're going to be breaking into roundtable groups. I am leading the one on marketing, so we can talk specifically about this more during the roundtable if you want. But super thankful for you guys. I hope this helps you create effective messaging that resonates with people and makes a difference for your company. Thanks. Well, I hope you enjoyed that course on how to create marketing messages that actually get results. It was really fun to teach that, and just the entire event was just absolutely awesome. I actually brought my daughter Olivia out to Denver with me, and just for her to be a part of that and just seeing the way the industry works was it was really special for me. So I hope that you enjoyed this. This course is really a summary of what the last 2 weeks of the podcast have been about. We went through some of the basic principles of marketing, right? You have to set yourself up as the trusted advisor to the customer, not as the hero of the story. Like, if there's one thing to take away from the last 3 weeks, that's what it is. It will fundamentally change your marketing, right? Be the guide, not the hero. And when we look at the examples of that we had, I think it goes without saying that when we see an advertisement that directly speaks to us and the problems that we have, it engages us and it makes us want to take action. When we see an ad of somebody bragging about themselves, I mean, again, like at best, we ignore it, and at worst, we disdain it. And so we want to have marketing that positions ourselves as someone who can help our customer, and we don't have to shine the spotlight on us and how good we are. Instead, we talk about the customer, their problems, and the path to making those problems go away. So like that is the absolute first thing with this. And I want to dive in a little bit here only because, again, that class was relatively short, 30, 35 minutes, and we could go for we could spend a whole day talking about those concepts. So it was truncated. I want to talk about this idea of being the hero. And simply it's that everybody wakes up in the morning as the hero of their own story. Even someone who is a selfless person, when they wake up, they're still thinking about, okay, I've got these things that I have to do today. I've got kids. We've got soccer practice. Man, what am I going to do about my job? What am I doing with this? These are the things that we're thinking about. And this is what Donald Miller means when he says that the customer is the hero of their own story. It just means that there are things that they are thinking about that are important to them. And those are different things than what you and your company are thinking about that are important to you. That's what it means. And a customer is not looking for another hero because they're already the hero of their story. When they wake up in the morning, they're looking for an advisor to help them overcome the problems that they have. And again, this is an old example we've talked about before. It's out of the book, Building a Story Brand. But if you wake up and you're having problems trying to find a lawnmower to mow your grass. And so you go to Home Depot or whatever store sells lawnmowers. Well, you're looking for a lawnmower to cut your grass. But if the person there is just talking about, hey, well, my grandpa started this company 35 years ago, and I've been working in it 25 years. And, one of the things that I love about being a family-owned business is this, that, and the other. By the way, I've got a wife and kids. If that's all they're talking about, well, you're going to say, okay, that's great, but can you get out of my way so that I can find someone to help me find the right lawnmower? And this is what many companies in our industry do with their marketing. They're like that person working at Home Depot talking about the wrong things, talking about what's important to them, not what's important to their customer. So this idea of the customer is the hero, what that means is that there are things that are very important to them, and we need to come alongside them to show them how to solve their problem and overcome it. And amazingly, this turns into business. I've seen this happen again and again and again, that when you move from making yourself the hero of the story to positioning yourself as the guide, someone who can help a customer succeed, it is incredible how that transforms the results of the marketing. And I would say this, in our industry, man, we offer incredible goods and services, right? We sell products that literally can bring a family together. We sell products that can help you stay safe in a power outage, that can keep you warm on the coldest winter days. And this is not us like manipulating someone or coercing them to do something that is not in their best interest. We are genuinely providing something that makes their lives better. And in our marketing can help us do this. If we can speak to the problem that a customer has, remember that's the P soundbite. If we can show empathy to their situation, that's E. We can give them an answer to that problem that they have, that's A. We can talk about the change that they experience after using our services or getting our products, that's the C soundbite. And then E, the end result. We explain what their life looks like afterwards. That is a compelling reason to take action. And what I love about this is that if this is not the problem the customer has, they're not going to buy because it's not for that person. When we create marketing messages, this is what April talked about last week, we want to be laser specific in who it's for. Remember, an ad for everyone is an ad for no one. So when we see messaging or advertising or emails that are not specifically for a given customer and their specific problem, it just washes over us because it doesn't speak to us. In order for messaging to be effective, you have to decide who it's for and who it's not for. Many companies don't have the guts to say, this ad is not for this person, and to fine tune it for their customer. I think that there's a lot here that we can take away in our industry. And if you start looking around at advertisements and emails and things like that, you'll pick this up. You'll see the companies that are effective, like, going back to CarMax. Oh my gosh, like that headline on their website, want to drive, we make it easy to find a car and get it. Like that speaks to a problem that the customer has. If you're in a situation where you don't have a car and they say, we make it easy to buy a car and to get off the lot, that speaks to a problem. And again, thinking about how they're using imagery, they're not making the car the hero of the story. They're not making the business the hero of the story. I see this all the time. Like you'll see advertising that's like, we're the best innovators. Okay, great. Like, who's the hero of that story? It's not the customer. You'll see websites. I see this a lot, especially in like the chimney side of our business, where like the main image on the web page is every technician in the company standing in front of the vans with their arms crossed, smiling. But it's this weird image of like, 15, 20, sometimes 30 technicians all in a row. And it looks like a firing squad. It's like a show of force that it in no way solves the customer's problem. What if we change those things around to make the customer the hero? Instead of saying, oh, we have the best innovation, what if we talked about how we've been helping families with cold homes stay warm and safe for 30 years, and we can do the same thing for you, right? That positions us as the guide, not the hero. Yes, okay, so you have 30 technicians. What if instead of taking a picture with all of your arms crossed in front of your vehicles and just this weird display of bravado, what if instead we talked about how we have over 30 trucks on the road that can be to your house within 24 hours if you have an emergency? Well, okay, so now you're still talking about the fact that you innovate in that first example. You're still talking about the fact that you have 30 trucks, but you're positioning it in a way that the customer is the hero. There's so many ways that we can do this, and it is really, really powerful. So, when I gave those examples in our industry of what worked and what didn't, I think it's important for us to ask, okay, like where am I falling into those traps of having marketing that's just not effective? And in the negative examples that I gave, those are both fine companies. I'm not saying anything about the quality of their products. I'm not saying anything about the service that they provide, but I show those examples to say their marketing is not effective. It is killing them. And with just some simple tweaks, it would get significantly better results. And so my hope is that you can put that into place and start getting those results for yourself and for your business. Now, okay, over the last few weeks, we've talked about a lot. Customer's the hero, not your business. We've talked about being clear in your messaging, not clever. With the plumbing company that we talked about, they were very clever. They're called Apollo. So, make the theme astronauts and have them on the moon and say that we can be your mission control to launch, right? That is clever. It is not clear, and it does not help the customer. Remember, clear is kind. Clever is often confusing. It's often confusing. And the last thing that we want to do is confuse the customer. And so, okay, those are some of the basics that we talked about. Also, we need to remember this PEACE framework, PEACE. We've talked about that quite a bit over the last few weeks. But if you can create these sound bites for your company, it does really amazing things. And you want to repeat them over and over and over and over and over all the time. You're creating a brand for yourself by saying the same thing again and again and again. So if you have a great problem soundbite, and again, like there's so many different ways that you can take this, but maybe your problem soundbite is, are you tired of having a cold home in the winter? Okay, now maybe that's your problem soundbite. If that's what it is, you got to hit that again and again and again and again. Every sales conversation. Put it on your business card, put it on the side of your truck, put it on your website. You will all of a sudden be known as the company that if you're cold in the winter, they call you because you have claimed that problem. You have claimed it. Years ago, I had a meeting with a guy that actually worked at a TV company. He was a cameraman. And we had hired this company to do a TV commercial years ago. This is probably, I don't know, 12, 13 years ago. And this guy was the cameraman, and we were having a marketing conversation after the shoot. And this guy was like a true marketer, but he was working as the cameraman. He didn't make like decisions and stuff. But as we were talking, he told me something I've never forgotten. He said, hey, in most markets, there's a throne that no one is sitting on. And if you sit on that throne, people are going to assume that you belong there. He's very, very right. When you talk about the problem over and over again in the same way, that is you claiming the throne. You're sitting on the throne and claiming it. And once you're on the throne, you're known as the king or the queen of that problem. So if everyone's talking about different things and no one's talking about that same problem enough to claim the throne, it's open for you. That's why this is so powerful. So, there's a lot of different directions that this can be applied to, but these principles I've seen personally, over the last really 10, 12 years, these principles have made a huge difference for me. And I know that they can for your business as well. So with all that said, this is kind of the end of that 3-part conversation on marketing. We'll be doing more in the future, but today's course just felt like a good capstone to it. Well, hey, if this podcast today has been a blessing for you and you want to support this show financially, you can do that by going to the website itsfiretime.com/join. That's itsfiretime.com/join. And we are incredibly thankful to all of you who do support this show financially. It's the only reason we've been able to move to doing video this season. And it's the only reason we can continue to put out the content, week after week after week. So thank you to those of you who do support. If you do want to join, we have some awesome rewards when you sign up, just as a way to say thank you for believing in this and for supporting it to allow, yourselves and others to get to benefit from the episodes. So thank you for that. And if you are not able to join or participate, that's totally okay. We want this to be a free resource for you that blesses you and your company. So as you go out today, I want you to think about creating a peace framework. I would suggest having an overall one for your company. What's the overall problem that your company solves? But then start creating it for the different subdivisions. Maybe you have different products that you offer. There should probably be a different peace framework for each of your product categories. I know for myself, that's what we've done at Wi-Fi. We have an overall one for the company. We have separate ones for each of our different products. And the purpose of all of this is not to coerce, it's not to manipulate. No. The purpose of this is to speak to the problems people have and make it clear how you can help them. That's an amazing thing. In today's world, there are too many people that are using their voice and their platform to coerce and to manipulate. That's not what we're doing. We want to use our platform to show people how we can help them and improve their lives. If we can do that, things start to get a lot better. So I hope you can take these principles and put them to work right away so that you can reach people, connect with them, and create marketing messages that actually get results. So hope you have an amazing rest of the week. We'll talk again very soon. Thank you for listening to the Fire Time Podcast. To learn more, visit the website itsfiretime.com. Music from this episode was written and recorded by In Bloom out of Portland, Oregon. We thank you for listening to the Fire Time Podcast, where it's never hot enough, slow is fast, and the way to win is to make it so stupidly easy to buy from you that there's no excuse not to. We'll see you next time.